Welcome to Faith Fiction and Folklore, or the Try It podcast, where we try not to F it up. And today, Cody, how are you?
I'm good, buddy. How are you?
Yes.
What are we talking about today?
Gary, how are you?
I am so tired.
Today we are talking about what's his name? Mike Winger,
Mike Winger.
right? Yeah, Mike Winger.
You recommended this video.
Mike
No, I
Winger and some guy with dreadlocks.
I wanted to make sure I got his name right.
Yes, Mike Winger. You are correct, sir.
Mike Winger, warning about Todd White and Todd White's teaching or his healing.
Yeah.
Which one is it?
All of it.
remember.
Todd White is a horrible human being, according to this
Oh,
letter.
okay.
See, this is the story.
Didn't we talk about this guy a long time ago?
No, you're
I-
thinking Brandon Biggs. They're all the same.
No.
Well,
Todd
no.
White.
Well,
I brought him up and thought we should talk about him.
Oh,
okay. Yeah.
Turns out he's full of shit, huh?
I suspect there's a pattern. So
We'll get into it.
Yeah. So
Let's watch this.
let's set this up before we start just playing videos. So
Okay.
Todd
So-
White is one of these word of faith prosperity type guys. And the dude, for reasons that are incomprehensible to me, really likes to talk about how good he is and how he has little to no sin. Which is hysterical because his staff produces a letter stating the obvious: the guy sins. They're very heartbroken about this. I don't know why anybody would be surprised, but apparently this is a big deal. Apparently people actually believed this guy. I don't know why, but maybe it's just because Mike Winger has selected some of the more unfavorable quotes from the fella. I listened to the video and I'm like, who was dumb enough to believe this dude? But anyway, you know what is a mortal sin? I'll tell you what a mortal sin is. Hold on just a second. Those dreadlocks. Somebody should be
those
going
are
to hell
nice
for those
dreadlocks.
dreadlocks.
Those dreadlocks
All
are
right.
awesome, man.
I mean, like,
I love the
even
dreadlocks.
Bob Dylan's going, dude. No. Who was the Jamaican guy that was like Bob Murray?
Oh, Bob Marley.
No. Marley.
Bob
Thank you,
Marley.
Bob Marley. See, I'm a nerd. Even Bob Marley would be embarrassed by these dreadlocks. He was like, dude, you need to tone it down a little bit. It ain't gonna be all right. So,
Hey, man.
Airman. All right. So, Trevor, you're a fan of this fella? Did I just see that? Because I didn't mean to insult you. I was just speaking off the cuff.
You can't insult me.
Oh,
You are forgiven before you insult me.
He said,
Anyways, yes, I did follow him for a while. He mostly just preaches his testimony. He gives his testimony of when he got saved, and then he preaches the gospel. That's most of his sermons, and he's very energetic and outgoing, and it's very intense. And I don't see anything wrong with that. Now, what happens behind the scenes, I don't know until this came out, and I actually did a real research and looked into where Todd White got his teachings from, where he learned how to do what he's doing.
is he a New Thought guy?
Kenneth Copeland. And
It's
there you
almost
go.
like there's a pattern, Cody.
yeah, almost.
Pattern.
All right, let's see what Mike Winger has to say. I'm going to jump
Nice.
around on this, though, because I don't want to just steal all his content. So,
We're stealing.
yeah, a little bit. Let's try not to do that.
Mike Winger
This is Todd
crushes.
White. I recently met with numerous eyewitnesses, whistleblowers, who were in Todd White's ministry. The open letter I'm about to read to you is from them.
God, that's a lot of
This
people.
open letter, signed off by numerous eyewitnesses, is very serious. It's a warning to the Christian church about the ungodliness of Todd White, the worldwide evangelist, spiritual leader, miracle worker, founder and president of Lifestyle Christianity and Lifestyle Christian University. Though this letter was written by people who've been insiders from Todd White's ministry, they want to remain anonymous for fear of retaliation. For years, they were eyewitnesses of Todd's sin and deception. They reached out to me and asked me, Mike Winger, to share this with you because they could not, in good conscience before God, continue to remain silent. Matthew 18 says that in situations like this, we're supposed to tell it to the church. That is what we're doing now. I'm going to read to you now from the letter. I'll let you guys know because it's on screen. You'll know exactly when I might be adding my own words or my own commentary to anything. For the most part, I'm just here to share what they have to share, being a significant number of eyewitnesses who I've spent hours with going through all these accusations, hearing examples to back up each of the claims that were made here. I believe that these things are true. I don't think that they've misstated anything, and I'm going to share it with you now. An open letter to the church concerning Todd White. Over the past several years, we have closely observed Todd White, both publicly and privately. Many of us have worked with Todd in various capacities as part of his staff, leaders within his ministry, former leadership of Lifestyle Christianity, board members, and executive team members. Each signatory of this letter has known Todd for years, with some of us sharing a close relationship with him. Todd has even referred to some of us as his friends over the years. I can attest that they have had a close relationship with Todd, in my opinion. Individually and collectively, we have made numerous attempts to hold Todd accountable and address the troubling aspects of his conduct, which we believe to be marked by deception, exaggeration, embellishment, and manipulation. Despite these efforts, we have witnessed behavior from Todd that is both disappointing and at odds with the image he presents to others. Watching someone we once admired act in ways that contradict his professed values has been profoundly disheartening. We write this letter not from a place of bitterness, but from a desire to protect others. We hope to prevent others from experiencing the potential faith-shaking disappointment that we and many others have felt after getting close to Todd. Our greatest wish is for Todd to sincerely repent, return to his God-given purpose, and walk in humility. While Matthew 18 provides clear guidance on handling situations like this, we believe that speaking out is now necessary to alert the church. Many of us left Lifestyle Christianity years ago due to Todd's actions, hoping that he would change. Unfortunately, his behavior has only worsened over time. It is important to clarify that our concerns with Todd are not regarding the doctrine of the gifts of the Spirit, miracles, or signs and wonders. We believe in these wholeheartedly. Rather, our concerns lie with Todd's integrity and character, which we find increasingly troubling. Below is a brief list of the countless issues that disqualify Todd as a teacher of the gospel. Now, I'd like to say, as I read through this list of 25 different bullet points that they've provided, that we've gone over carefully and thought through, and they've really shared with me, as I said, examples, real living examples of these different bullet points, things that I cannot share with you, because if I do give you the details, they will be outed, they will be doxxed, and it'll be known who they were.
Okay, so let's keep going here and see if he actually gets to something specific. Let's try that. Yeah.
Lying about what people say to turn other people against each other, and in many other ways. And I can again attest of specific examples, specific lies where one person was told something only to find out that that was simply not true. It was a jockeying thing that a powerful leader does to try to make sure that people don't team up against them. Really, really nasty stuff. About this idea that Todd presents himself one way to crowds as being sort of a superhuman, a super Christian, I have a little compilation of video clips so people can understand the type of projection he puts out to the public, which is simply not true based upon multiple people, many people who know him very well.
He came and gave me this blank canvas. He came and gave me this pure heart, and I've never violated it with anything.
Because I love Jesus.
Okay. That should have been your first tell. I've never violated that pure heart with anything, ever. Like, okay, if you honestly think you've never done anything wrong ever, that's called pride. That is a sin. So you're already wrong. But anyway, that should have been your first clue. All right, let's see what else.
My hands are clean. My heart is pure. I love him with all my heart. I'm going to stand before him, and he's going to say, well done. What's he going to say when you stand before him?
You can actually have the word so strong inside.
Nice try.
Nice try.
Sorry.
Your heart that you never have to slip. People are like, well, that's false. That's not true. Well, you're wrong. I live with me.
So for 13 years, I've been free from that. I've never looked with lust at a woman, ever.
I live with me. My kids will tell you that I'm a man of God. I'm a father.
Because God doesn't say he wants you 97% pure. I mean, was Jesus 97% pure?
I have not lived with regret my whole life. I don't do things that cause regret.
I've had people come to me and say, Todd, let's see where you are in 10 years. It's been 11 and a half, and I'm more on fire than I've ever been. Oh, I can.
As you're watching this,
Look how righteous I am. I'm getting goosebumps about how righteous I am.
Horrible.
Is that not a tell?
Yeah.
Good night.
Unless you're looking for a savior.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't need Jesus, apparently. He's got himself. He lives with him.
Yeah.
So, goodness. I mean, I don't know anything about this guy. And again, these are clips that Mike selected. But I mean, I just hear that and I'm going, well, that's not good. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, Trevor, what do you think? You think Mike's taking him out of context or something?
Yes and no, because those are only clips
Yeah.
of his teachings, and so he could be talking about something completely different.
But he's not.
But he's
Look at
not.
him. He's
Yeah.
got goosebumps from how righteous he is.
Yeah. Anyways,
Yeah, I'm sorry.
most of his teaching is the gospel. He teaches the gospel most of the time, and whenever it gets on his testimony, he'll tell you the worst stuff. He was into drugs. He did all that bad stuff. He's not a good person. He'll tell that. He comes out and says that. Todd White does.
Yeah, but he sounds like Ammon. He's like, I take some spittle and rub it in some mud, you know?
Yeah,
I gotta
and
remember the
he's like-
purple.
It's like, I'm literally Jesus, guys.
he does say, talk about that and how he has the what.
Wait, he talks about
I-
actually making salve out of mud with his
No. He talks about being on fire for God, and
He literally said you have to be 100% perfect because Christ is perfect. That is insane.
yes, and that's yeah.
Like, yeah,
spit. And there's your motivation, right?
yeah, that's lordship salvation. That's like the whole you got to work for it too thing. You know, so I'm not even sure. Like, I'm a little dubious about his gospel in the first place, but that might be more doctrinal. The point is, though, if you've got somebody sitting there saying they're so good they've got goosebumps because of their own righteousness, you might want to be a little leery of the guy. So,
That's the lightning bolt about to hit you, bud.
yeah. That's called,
Your hair's
that's
standing up
called
'cause of the
wrath from on
electricity.
high.
Better be glad you're wearing rubber shoes, pal.
compilation of clips. Try to think about what standards are being set and what expectations are being made. Todd is an influencer for thousands, millions probably of Christians. He's got his lifestyle Christianity ministry that has reached a very, very large number of people. He's been in stadiums in front of large numbers of people. When Todd says these things, and you think about the students who go to his school, the young people who go to his school for 2 or 3 years that they might be there, these are the standards that they expect ultimately of themselves, because Todd says that he's an example of a normal Christian.
Feel that? Oh, he loves me. I have lived.
Hint: those dreadlocks are proof he's not. He is not the standard example of a normal Christian. I wouldn't set your aspirations in his direction.
He's on fire.
He's on fire like Ricky Bobby.
If he stands too close to those stage lights, he's going to catch on fire. So. Dreadlocks act like a wick, man.
Yeah, they got that grease in them.
Yeah.
Lived every day of my life for 11 and a half years in the love of God. Your hand can no longer cause you to sin because you're too in love with Jesus and you're being convicted of the very thing God told you to seek first. I've woke up for 11 and a half years in love with Jesus.
Can I say that one of the chief characteristics of sin is that it's in contrast of what you believe? You're doing something wrong even though you know it's wrong. That's kind of the definition of a sin. You're acting in conflict with what you believe. And so the idea that you would never sin because you believe in Christ so much is just stupid. Because that, like, the whole point, like, the definition of a sin is that you know it's wrong, but you're acting in conflict with your convictions in a way that is counter to your convictions. That's why you have the whole idea in Romans 14, you know, if you don't cause your brother to stumble, because if you're eating, like, in that context, it was food sacrificed to idols. But if you're, if you eat food sacrificed to idols and then you're around somebody who thinks that's wrong and you make them do it or you peer pressure them into doing it, You've actually sinned because you've made them sin. Because according to the Bible, if they believe it's wrong and they do it anyway, then they've intentionally rebelled against God, and in so doing, they've actually sinned, even though there's nothing inherently wrong with eating meat or eating food sacrificed to idols or whatever. Like, the conscience is that important, to God, but that presupposes the idea that you can act in a way that's counter to your own convictions. Or am I being too brainy or convoluted?
Acting against counter.
Basically, the definition, part of the chief characteristic of a sin is that you are acting in a way that is counter to what you already believe.
Yeah.
So the idea that you can just believe so much that you don't sin anymore is stupid.
Yeah, I agree.
So that's what I'm getting at. So, Trevor, you got any thoughts, man?
No, go ahead.
All right.
Hit play.
Cool.
If you wake up in love with Jesus, if you go to sleep in love with Jesus, if you wake up in the middle of the night in love with Jesus, you will fulfill the first command. To love God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your strength, with all your mind.
Grace enables me to be free from ever wanting to sin. Grace enables me to be...
That is complete nonsense. You're going to want to sin. Like, now he's saying not only are you going to believe so much you don't sin, you're going to believe so much that you're not even tempted.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Even Jesus got tempted. What the?
Yeah, what the? Yeah. So...
free from ever wanting to sin. Grace disables the want to sin, the will to sin. It disables it. It makes it disabled.
That is so stupid. That is so stupid.
Like, it hangs a little handicap tag up in there. Like, shit.
Wow.
This guy's an idiot.
From sin or
yeah, I'm not impressed.
He said, "Live free from sin or the want to sin." That this is the Christian life. Todd presents this as though it's a reality that he's experienced on a regular basis. Which, if it is, that's awesome. Todd, show us the way, right? Everybody's going to want to see this. But if it's not true, if this surface thing is not a real thing, as this letter is going to demonstrate, then that is a serious spiritual fraud being perpetrated on people that will actually bring them harm. Create expectations, condemnation that'll result in actually for those people.
I've lived with a clean conscience for 11 and a half years, and I haven't violated it. And if I don't violate it, there's no room for condemnation.
I've been a Christian for 16 years, and I haven't lied one time.
Well, that was a lie. Sorry, that was low-hanging fruit, but I had to say it.
In 16 years about anything. Ever.
So I've been saved for 18 years. I have not lied for 18 years.
Not for 18 years, not for 16, depending on when these videos came out. This is a significant claim to have never told a lie. Hopefully true, but according to multiple witnesses, the Bible tells us to let the truth be established by 2 or 3 witnesses, and I've spoken to a lot more than that say that this isn't only a little bit false, but that Todd is, according to them, the most prolific liar that they've ever met. That's a really significant issue.
Next to Brandon Biggs, of course.
I woke up and...
You know what? You get that one for free. Okay.
in love with Jesus for 13 years straight. I haven't had one day of guilt or shame or condemnation for 13 years straight. So I haven't had one day.
Well, obviously, you're conceited enough to think you don't sin, so why would you feel guilt and condemnation? I mean, my goodness.
I will say this: the whole time I was listening to Todd White's teachings, I was praying real hard for that type of fire, like, and that type of freedom, and it was very difficult time.
Yeah, because it's not a real expectation, man. It's just not
achievable.
Yeah, it's unachievable.
It's like,
we live
it's like
by
you're,
grace.
You're making yourself the donkey chasing the carrot on the stick.
Look,
yeah, and I just felt horrible all the time because it was constant,
It's unreachable.
Oh, I did that wrong. Crap.
Take heart,
I did
Trevor.
that wrong. Crap.
Yeah. Take heart, Trevor. You're an idiot. I'm an idiot. We're all idiots. That's why we're under grace, because we're stupid. So
You're not allowed to call yourself an idiot in my presence.
No, that's what the doctrine of depravity is, though. I mean, that's why we accept the idea that we don't even know. Compared to God, we don't even know what good is. Like, it's impossible for us to really understand right and wrong the way that He understands it, which
good
is
the
criterion is the only
opposite of
criterion
evil.
that matters. Well, what does that mean?
It means that evil is the opposite of good.
Yeah, but you can't distinguish the difference in every single situation.
Bingo.
Yes, you can.
No, you can't. Sometimes you don't know. And that's, sometimes you do know, but maybe you're too emotional to see it or whatever the case may be. But
Literally,
people make
Jesus
mistakes. People make mistakes. That's why we need grace.
Like, is this coffee good or evil?
Evil. It's a drug. The
I'd
rich
say-
man came up to Jesus and he was like, good teacher, how can I have eternal life? And he was like, why do you call me good? Only the Father knows good.
He's trying
Like
to bait
Jesus
it.
doesn't even know what good is.
That's not what that means, but I will hone in on your coffee analogy. Cody thinks it's evil to drink coffee. I think it's amoral. I think it's just something that, you could take or leave. So it's
And
not
it's not the
evil.
coffee. The coffee
We
didn't
can't
do
even
anything
agree on whether
evil.
coffee is good or bad.
Like,
That's my
it's the-
point.
It's the caffeine in the coffee that's the evil part.
Oh, now we're just splitting hairs.
Yeah, you're splitting hairs.
So, yeah, we can't even agree on whether or not coffee's right or wrong.
Right.
So how can you know what's good? Like, that's why we need Christ. That's why we need grace.
There you go. End of video. See y'all later.
End of video. Let's go.
Yeah. So this guy, he's trying to sell you this burden. What does Christ say? My burden is easy.
Yeah.
My yoke is light. Or however that goes. I'm probably butchering that. So, yeah. I mean, to be perfect, there's no way. Anyway.
Well, it does say, he does say, be ye perfect like somebody.
It's imputed righteousness is kind of the idea. Like, we are perfect, like, positionally because of the way, like, because he died for us and he paid our debt. So we can enter the Father, we can approach the Father without shame. Be ye perfect, for I am perfect, or because I am perfect,
Yeah. Isn't it a command, though? Is it not a command?
It means that you're supposed, the way I understand it, maybe I'm wrong, it means you're supposed to, like, basically trust yourself to his perfection. You know what I mean? Like, because he's perfect, because he is good, you trust him, you lean on him, and he is your right standing before the Father.
Huh.
Yeah. Because we can't be, because we're dumb. We can't be perfect. We can't be good. So Christ was good for us. He lived a perfect life for us. He died for our sins, paid for our sins for us. Because we couldn't do that. We can't pay our own debts. We can't be perfect. We can't do nothing right. So, yeah.
Lean ye not on your own understanding.
Mm-hmm. All right. We ready to move on?
Moving on.
I have perfect peace. I go to sleep. I live in rest. Every day I get to cast out devils. Every day. Every day I get to see the sick healed. Every day. I'm like this all the time
Pause
because I
there.
live with me.
Talking about him healing the sick every day is where that other video will come in. Of the one I sent you, the short.
You're wanting to go to that one now? Which one is it?
Healed and set free from depression. Yeah.
This one right here? Okay.
Yeah, that one.
All right.
As I'm walking, I'm listening and hearing. He speaks to me. He tells me that you have an injury in your shoulder.
Yes.
From lifting. And it's in the right side, right in you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll pray and Jesus will heal you. How do you think I know?
I don't.
That's Jesus.
You feeling?
No, I hear it.
My mind is not working very well, so take a time to me.
What's wrong with your mind?
I can't concentrate myself in the exercise.
Do you know why your concentration isn't working?
I don't know.
You need peace.
Yes.
That only comes from Jesus. You can't get it outside of him.
Can I just point out that second part was not an answer? Why is your concentration not working? I don't know. You need peace. How is that supposed to help his concentration? Sounds like he's talking about brain fog.
What?
Did you catch that? Yeah. It's like, how's peace supposed to fix anything? He's talking about not being able to concentrate.
Because he's got too many thoughts convoluted in his mind, so he needs peace.
What if he's just talking about brain fog, though?
What's brain fog?
It's like where you can't think about anything because you're just
Because
like
you're unconsciously
tired,
thinking about other things.
or you don't have the ability to stay focused on one sentence at a time. Like you're just like staring off, and then you look at a bug, and then you look at a June bug, and you can't focus.
Or you watch the clock for
To not
hours on end.
concentrate is to not focus, or you watch the clock on, or you space out. You know, there's like
Because you're thinking about
there's like
other
a
stuff.
million things he could have meant, or maybe not. No, sometimes your brain is just tired and you don't think about anything because you're just conked out. You're exhausted. Like we don't know what he's talking about, and he just goes with like this non sequitur. Well, you need peace, man. Well, what if he's talking about something physical rather than emotional? You know, it's like this is like an example of that vague terminology being used to sound like you're saying something when you're not. You know, like that's not an answer to his problem. And I want to point out, maybe you know, I don't know what the Almighty has and hasn't told him, but I do know that you could look at a dude's shoulder and tell whether or not he's injured, You know, maybe he noticed the way the guy was moving. Maybe he noticed him grunting when he picked something up. I mean, we don't know the context here.
Like the mentalist?
Yes, exactly. Like the mentalist. It could be that he's making observations and then saying the Almighty spoke to him. Or the Almighty did speak to him. I don't know. I wasn't there. But
And he just had to add the dramatic music to the video for effect.
Yeah, pretty much. Exactly. But I'll tell you this. That peace thing was a non-answer. He didn't ask any more questions. Like, you're right, Cody. It could have been he's, like, distracted and emotionally upset and, like, thinking about 300 things. It could be that he's getting 2 hours of sleep a night and he's zoning out and, like, having little mini sleeps and losing track of time and stuff. It could be any number of things. The only thing that you do know is that he doesn't know. Because he says, I don't know. I just can't focus.
Yeah.
Peace is not, an answer to that question.
He did agree with him when he said peace, though.
Well, yeah. Let me check something, though. This will be interesting.
Jesus is the peace that passes all understanding.
This might be a good body language moment. Let's see if he does what I think he might do.
Peace
Yes.
that only comes from Jesus. You can't get it outside of him. I hear in my heart.
Okay, never mind. He didn't do it. I thought he might have, like, nodded and maybe coaxed him into it, but he didn't do that. So,
Yeah.
So,
Like a reverse psychology type
well,
thing?
just the fact that he's being really like, you need this. You need this. You can't have it without this. That kind of like nodding and leaning in with the soft voice. Right. Yeah. And that,
No.
And that can create an impulse for people to go, yes. Like people do this all the time, like even in retail. Like if you ask somebody if they want a free bag of gifts, 9 times out of 10, they'll say no. I don't know why. People just don't like taking stuff. But if you hand the person the bag, they'll take it out of reflex. Yeah. It's like a default setting.
You want this, right?
Yeah. If you have that gentle, emphatic delivery, people will agree with you without even really thinking about what you're saying. So, anyway.
Or saying about what you think.
Exactly. We're going to go yes with that. Right.
It's more than your shoulder. It's about
Pizza.
your heart. Because something happened that broke your heart and caused you to disconnect.
Okay, that is mentalist crap.
Yeah, that was stupid.
That was mentalist crap. I'm suspecting someone broke your heart. You're 32. It's a reasonable suspicion.
Right.
It's like, yeah, someone did break my heart. And it causes you to disconnect. Yeah, I did disconnect, I think.
From God. But you can come right back.
Yeah.
Will you pray with me? And just say this with me. Lord Jesus.
Lord Jesus.
Right now.
Right now.
I give my heart back to you.
I give my heart back to you.
I'm asking you.
I'm asking you.
To give me peace.
To give me peace.
God, thank you for peace. I ask you to bless them in the name of Jesus. In Jesus' name, shoulder be healed right now.
We have to get past the fear of man.
Did his shoulder get healed?
I don't know. I think it could have. Because he believes it.
He did
Because
believe
he believes
it.
it.
He did believe it. He did believe it.
It's the placebo
you can see the
effect,
guy.
man.
he could have been healed, but we didn't see it, so I'm assuming it didn't happen. We didn't see any, oh, wait a minute, it actually feels good. I'm sure they prayed there for like 57 minutes, and the guy was like, "You gotta go," and then gave him a hug, like, "Ha ha ha, thanks for trying, get out." But we didn't see the shoulder healed. Do we, Trevor? Have you seen this video all the way through? Do we see the shoulder healed?
No.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay.
Well, he usually teaches that, or he tells when people like that, they don't get healed immediately. They'll usually either call or send an email or something. I feel way better. Thank you for praying for me. A week later.
Do we see the email?
No, this video was released like a couple of days ago. Does it say?
Yeah.
Yeah, 3 days ago.
I think he pulled some mentalist jargon there, man.
I think he did too.
I don't think that was legitimate. I'm sorry to say.
Well, he did learn.
I want to believe this in this kind of stuff. I do, but I'm not buying that.
Well, he did learn his healing stuff from Kenneth Copeland and Dan Mohler.
I don't remember who Dan Mohler is, but I do know Kenneth Copeland. Yeah.
Dan Mohler is kind of Todd's like elder, if you will.
We looked into him.
He's not related to him, but I have a Dan Mohler video as well, which he kind of teaches the same stuff.
Let me pull it up here in a minute. Did Dan Mohler teach him about those dreadlocks?
No, that's a Todd White thing.
Okay.
That's like his signature, I guess you could say.
It's a wild signature, man. All right, do we want to go back to Mike Winger?
Yeah, sure.
All right.
But why?
For 13 years without a day of fear.
You know, from the beginning of my life, I never allowed people's sin against me to produce sin in me. I'm really free. This thing never shuts down. It's really like this all the time.
The superhuman experience of Todd White that he presents to the world.
Did you believe that delivery?
That was rough.
I felt like I was hearing a little bit of a waver, like, I'm really happy. You know? That's kind of that's the vibe I got from it.
Yeah.
Well, in his full teaching, before that he teaches the gospel and Jesus and all the things, and then he starts talking like that. That's why people, that's why people believe it so hard, is because he's on fire teaching the whole gospel, and then he's still got that same fire 2 hours later at the end.
Like fire. It looked like pea dribble.
Pea dribble.
Pea dribble.
Pea dribble.
Not even full stream, just like blip, blip, blip.
Story of my life. Let's play the video.
I'm gonna play. Yeah, okay. I'm not even sure how to add to that conversation. That was going nowhere good.
Let's dribble this video.
Anyway,
I'm really happy. Going on there. This is significant because Todd White's ministry is not like most other leaders' ministries. His ministry is built upon the reputation that he has established through the stories he has told. These stories about himself and about his exploits in the spiritual things, that has become the foundation, the myth of Todd White that creates his ministry.
Yeah.
Do you want the stories that he's talking about? One of his greatest stories is when he did the praying for that Satanist, that other short.
You want to go to that now? Okay. All right, so we watch this, close that, and now we're on to...
So this is his most famous video, if you will, Todd White's.
That is a pretty fella.
So I became suicidal. I wanted to put a gun to my head and be done with my life. I couldn't find peace. And I had 3 nights in a row where I met Jesus. I didn't meet religion. I met him. He told me he was the voice. He changed my everything. Man, I'm telling you, he loves you. I love you. I love you so much, bro. Can I pray for you? Yeah, come here. Let him know how much you love him, God. Show him who he is, God. one of my most funnest days ever out there in Carnival, just for hours and hours and hours, witnessing and sharing the gospel. That is where we ran into the Satan worshipers and watched them just get completely hooked by the love of God. This is so powerful. When you find out who you are, who Christ has created you to be, you will walk in power, you will walk in confidence, and you will no longer walk in fear.
So was there a dude
Gun on my
speaking
head
another
and be
language?
done with my life.
Yeah, it was
find peace.
some
And I had
carnival
three
in a
nights.
different country. I
It's
don't
good that he
remember.
turned,
Yeah, I
turned
was.
molested into a Christian. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, I mean, that's cool. That was great. I had no issue with that.
Yeah, that's what he does. Is
What?
He preaches in church, and then he goes out on the streets and does the same thing.
Yeah,
like
but
that.
he's not telling that poor dude he's got to be perfect. That guy's got a way to go. He's got his work cut out for him. That might be a little overwhelming.
See, that's how Todd White works. Is he teaches this stuff to begin with, and then the healing stuff at the end of each of his services.
Well, that's not what I mean, though. I mean, telling people they got to be perfect. That guy's got to... If that guy heard, I've got to be perfect right out of the gate, he'd be like, oh, man, I ain't going to make it. You know?
Right.
I mean, he's given the gospel, and when the gospel is actually given in the appropriate way, the gospel's effective. I guarantee you it's effective for somebody like that, too, because people need love, and that guy is being told he's loved. And that's probably what's registering with him.
Well, and that's what Todd
know?
White teaches in almost every one of the services that I've seen. Is he preaches that, and then he also gives his testimony of the perfect.
Yeah, but that's complete crap, and it undermines his message. I guarantee you he didn't do that out there.
No, he just tells them the short version of the gospel and tries to lead them to Christ.
Well, that's the true gospel. That's not the short version. That's the real gospel. This works crap is crap.
Do you think Todd White actually loves that guy? He said, "I love you so much, bro." Do you think he actually does?
That's a good question. I think he might. People are, people people compartmentalize. You know what I'm saying? Like, people can be genuinely moved in a moment and actually love other people, but then they can also be so unbelievably conceited they believe they can't sin. People are dichotomous like that. Like,
that's a two-faced person.
Well, everybody's two-faced in that respect. Like, we have areas of compartmentalization. He might just be really compartmentalized. I mean, I don't know the dude, but I mean, is it conceivable that he could genuinely love that guy and be incredibly conceited? Yeah. Because sometimes, sometimes we don't see the flaws in ourselves, and he might be incredibly conceited and believe he has no sin in himself, but for whatever reason, maybe because he was a drug addict when he was younger and went through trauma, maybe he's also very empathetic. Usually what happens is people who are prideful and have no trauma have no empathy whatsoever. But if he went through trauma when he's younger, he might still have that empathy, and he might be able to love that person. He might also be incredibly conceited. And there's a weird thing in church circles that I've noticed where it's like Mike Winger was saying at the beginning of the video, talk about how they Todd White was bullying people behind the scenes and all this and that. It's kind of that there's a culture in that whole world where it's like business is one thing and then spirituality is another. And so it's like maybe when he's out in the street ministry, selling the product, you might say, although that's a very cynical way to put it, he might be genuine and he might get moved by the Spirit and actually be sincere in what he's doing. And then when he gets back into his office and it's in business mode, he's in business mode again. He's like a complete cutthroat. And there's a complete mental separation,
That's probably the only way to do it, honestly.
Yeah. Glenn Beck has this analogy. Yeah, it is. It's like method acting. You become the Joker on stage and then you turn it off when you get home. I mean, of course, some method actors do it all the time, but they say that's not good. But I don't know. Bottom line is, though, Glenn Beck.
Is that it just makes you a narcissist?
Yeah. Well, Beck has a really good analogy. He says there are some people out there, or he said this in a radio show at one point, there are some people out there that they will completely destroy somebody in a business deal, destroy their entire family, and then when they see that family out in the street, give them $20 and think it's a good deed and not think anything about the fact that they actually destroyed that person's life. Like, there's that kind of dramatic disconnect with some people when it comes to how they conduct themselves in the business world versus how they conduct themselves when they're doing like spiritual work, and they don't connect the dots. So, I mean, it's possible that he really loves that guy. You know, it's also possible that he's a lying liar who lies and is so deluded he doesn't think he sins. I mean, he could also be a complete charlatan, and it could all be crap. I mean, I don't know, but you know, it is hypothetically possible. So, Trevor, you want to keep going?
Yeah, go back to that guy, Mike Winger.
Mike Winger. Okay, so we're done with this one then. Okay.
Yeah, no, we watched the whole thing. It was just a short.
Oh, I forget where I'm at. So,
well,
don't mind me. I'm an idiot.
I forget names, and it doesn't make you an idiot.
Thank you, sir.
It just makes you forgetful.
Yeah. Sleep deprived. Or nutrition deprived. Whatever. We're moving on.
Nutritionally sleep
causes
deprived.
a lot of very sincere, God-loving people to come alongside him, only to become disenfranchised and hurt and even have their faith shaken because of it. This is a real problem. I'm going to continue reading now in the letter that they gave me. He embellishes stories and pressures people into sharing testimonies that he can record. That fact is a shocker to a lot of people who've been watching Todd White's videos for the past 12, 13 years online, where he's recording this footage to find out that it's been edited in ways, it's been embellished. The commentary that Todd has on top of while the story's being told, that's where he perhaps is embellishing, is adding things, is twisting things in order to create the legend that is Todd White. Todd, it says here, I quote, Todd was involved in a domestic violence incident with his middle daughter, during which he allegedly slapped her, resulting in a black eye.
Oh, damn.
Todd's culture of manipulation and control has led to 4 of his executive teams leaving over the past 4 years. His ministry has had dozens of people quit directly because of his behavior.
This guy's a monster.
Well, he's being so vague, I don't really know what to think of it. That's one of the things I kind of do have a gripe about this letter is I'm like, this is awfully 3,000 foot, and we have no context for a lot of this.
Well, see, the thing is, Todd White actually talks about this in his life. He actually talks about when he was very violent towards his family.
He punched his daughter in the fucking face?
He doesn't actually say that in any of his teachings, but he used to be, before he got saved, very violent, drug addict. He was a very bad person. He actually tells that in his testimony.
So you're thinking that this incident might have been before he converted?
No, I'm personally, honestly, I think that the people that made this letter who know him, they're either, speaking the truth and telling his testimony, which he tells in his teachings. They're just giving you details. Or they're faking it to get some money out of suing someone who is teaching the gospel, and they're hoping to get some money out of it.
Have you found any lawsuits against?
I haven't found any actual lawsuits, but I haven't really dug that deep into it either.
Yeah.
Or they're telling the truth about the way he acts behind closed doors.
I mean, if he's been through 4 teams in 15 years,
that means something's wrong. That's verifiable.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a verifiable
like a whole set of
detail.
Employees 4 times.
Yeah.
You'd think you'd have at least one person that would stick with you, even if you sucked really bad.
Yeah, no, I mean, I do think that is telling, but, it's just hard to... So far, the biggest indictment against this guy has been the clips. This letter is very vague, and I'm not exactly sure what to make of it. Yeah, 4 teams sounds bad, but we need details and context to be able to evaluate anything.
That he had fluffed the protein shake shop. I mean, it seems like he fluffed that whole situation before they started filming.
Yeah, and you could see him using some of those mentalist tactics in the video.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the clips have been a bigger indictment than the letter, in my opinion, so far. But we'll keep going.
That's why I wanted to play him.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you found him.
Character. 4 executive teams quit in 4 years. And while they have at different times tried to confront Todd and deal with this and even go to other leaders in the Christian church asking for help, they felt that the only thing left to do was to tell me so I could just go to the people, because even the other leaders that they've appealed to don't seem to care. Reading on to the next bullet point in the open letter. Todd has lied about what funds were needed for or would be used for on multiple occasions. For example, one of us has documented instances, $20,000 for a medical vest that was never purchased, and $100,000 was given to the ministry and was told it would be used for the children's ministry that saw no improvements and was subsequently shut down within a year.
Well, see, that's embezzlement. I mean,
go?
that could be proven, and that's a big
spent an
crime.
exorbitant amount of money for his personal security, even arranging for a daily escort from his car to the lifestyle building. This continued until financial difficulties forced the ministry to scale back on such expenses. Todd asked other ministries to write checks directly to him instead of to Lifestyle, violating established protocols agreed upon by the executive team. Todd, on various occasions, has accused people of trying to steal his ministry instead of dealing properly when confronted with these accusations. For example, going to Todd to say, it's wrong that you're having people redo checks and write them to you personally instead of to the ministry, which is our agreed on protocol for integrity and for financial responsibility, fiscal responsibility and oversight. And when they've confronted them on these things, he tells people, oh, that person's trying to steal my ministry, thereby maligning their character, sabotaging their relationships, hurting their potential future in ministry.
Okay, so this sounds like this is a fight about money. Honestly, okay, the executives want the check signed to the ministry. He wants the check signed to himself.
So the ministry can continue to exist.
Yeah, but did Todd agree to it? What was the agreement in the beginning? They're saying, well, this is what we all agreed to. Well, did he agree to that?
By law, you can't. It's a 501c3. If he doesn't want to pay taxes, and the checks need to be made out to the ministry. Because
you might be right about that. I'm not familiar with 501c3 laws. Is that a thing?
Yeah. That's why the tax exempt church law. So
okay, so you're saying because it's a 501c3, it has to be signed in the name of the company.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, if he's having people write checks out just to him, it's not going through the 501c3. Yeah, right.
Yes, that's not legal. Okay, so he could go to jail for that then, if I understand you correctly.
He should, yeah.
Yeah.
That's why
he's like, oh well, I'm the specialist boy, so you should write the check out to me. It's my ministry.
Yeah. I guess I just find it really weird that they're not appealing to the law then, and they're saying well, that's what we all agreed to. Because that makes me go, did you as a board agree to it and butt him out? And then you're saying everybody agreed to it because he was voted out? Or or is that the law and everybody's agreed to it because it's the law? You know what I'm saying? It's is this a squabble between factions, or is this actually a legal thing? Now, if that's what you're supposed to do with a 501c3, that's a good point, though.
Yeah.
Well, that's why Dr. Dino got put in jail. He did the same thing. He had people write checks to him.
Was that what it was? Yeah. I thought he pulled money out of the wrong account. He had two. I was under the impression that he had 2 bank accounts, and he pulled money out of the wrong bank account to pay for something, and it wound up being a total of $10,000, which really that's not that much. And he ended up going to jail for 10 years over something
the IRS
trivial.
would have settled with him if it was accidental like that.
No, they hated him, dude. They
do not like him. Dr. Dino.
I mean, he might have brought it on himself, but he taught that whole sovereign citizen thing.
Oh, well,
they got on his so they were salivating for anything because he was pushing that. So
sovereign citizen, it's a contradictory term anyway.
Yeah, I never agreed with him on that, but yeah, he taught that, and I think that's why they went after him.
Yeah.
Doing all this. Todd regularly misrepresented the circumstances of the departure of team members to others, spinning false narratives.
Which, just for the record, the IRS should be nuked. I wouldn't be sad. I'm not taking. I would definitely side with Dr. Dino over the IRS any day of the week. Just for the record.
Isn't Doge trying to take him out?
I hear somebody in the government just trying to take him out. I don't know if it's Doge specifically, but I know that supposedly the Trump administration is trying to get rid of him. But it's kind of got to be done incrementally, and there might be some games. I don't know. I don't want to talk too much about it because I don't know what I'm talking about. So
Clear the swamp.
Anyway, so yes, there are moves being made to try to get rid of it, but I don't know what that's going to look like.
It's raining hard.
Is it raining hard?
Yep.
Is that what that noise is?
Yep.
Well, I hope we get done with this before it reaches here, because I guess we're using my internet, so I think I don't know how this streaming stuff works. I'm a Philistine.
I don't know how it works.
We can pull up max velocity. Watch him.
No, not tonight on Faith, Fiction, and Folklore. We're going to be talking about the weather.
We're going to watch storm chasers chase tornadoes again.
No way.
Oh man,
I did that last week.
Yeah, that was fun, but I don't think anybody's gonna want to watch that. So anyway, all right, let's see if we can get through this. I'm trying to at least get through the letter.
Team members of misconduct and theft, despite their commitment to stabilizing the ministry amidst his disruptions. This is something I've seen a lot. I've been interviewing witnesses over the past about a month and a half now. It's still going though, who have dealt with spiritual abuse from powerful ministry leaders. And this has been a regular thing. Those very strong, controlling types who are going to abuse their position of power in the church will often misrepresent the reasons why someone leaves. It seems to me that they cannot have those people telling the truth of why they left. And so to preemptively go against them and stop them from telling their story and causing other people to know about the problems this leader has, they lie about them. They even sometimes make stuff up about them to make them look bad, to try to say that Satan's at work in their life or they have some sort of major sin. This is a way of controlling thought so that they can maintain power. When Todd has been approached for accountability, even by board members and executive team members, he refused to be accountable to them and lies to and manipulates them. Multiple times, Todd has replaced people who try to hold him accountable. These sort of general sweeping statements like what you have in this part of the letter, again, there are real stories behind this, things that I can't even share with you because people are worried about retaliation. And so they will attest to it. There are multiple witnesses. I can attest to the fact that I've met with these people. They're deeply involved, deeply connected. They're in significant positions in his ministry for significant periods of time. And I do believe these accounts are real, are true. Todd claimed that Michael Brown was holding him accountable by reviewing Todd's weekly teaching videos.
Okay, but in the question of fairness, though, what are they trying to accomplish? Like, if they want the ministry to be shut down because this guy's a bad actor, why don't they come out and talk?
It's a warning. It talks in the Bible about it. First, you go to the person themselves.
Yeah.
And this is just vague remembering. And then you go to the elders.
Right. Yeah. And then,
and then you go to the people of the church. Mm-hmm. And then if it still doesn't get fixed, then you go to
So they're hoping this public pressure will cause Todd to stop. It sounds like there's some legal crap going on.
Yeah, it sounds like
if there's some legal stuff that's going on, like if he's broke the law, that doesn't fall under the purview of not suing somebody. People go to jail for that kind of money mismanagement. So that sounds like it's a legal thing. So I don't know if this is. I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying anything one way or the other. There's a couple things in here that's making me raise eyebrows. But maybe I'm off base.
Maybe he'll get arrested next week.
Yeah, I don't. Could be. I don't know. I'm kind of.
Well, see, that's the thing. That's my thing is I don't know when this letter was released, and it sounds like they just wrote it just for Mike Winger here to go over.
Well, they gave it to him so he would read it in public and put public pressure on him. Like this is, for the church, I guess. But yeah, it's the idea of like. I don't say public pressure because I don't think it's really for everybody, but some kind of communal pressure.
It's on YouTube. It's pretty public now.
Yeah. All right.
But we confirmed with Michael Brown that this wasn't true. Now, this is an example of an exaggeration that becomes a great lie. He told his people that he was sending weekly videos. He was getting videos from him to send them to Michael Brown to be reviewed. It turns out that this was not the case. There was no ongoing relationship of him reviewing Todd White's material. And so then that idea that there was some kind of accountability, some kind of oversight, was entirely a deceit. It was a deceit in order to create a zero accountability situation for Todd White. Todd has abused his leadership position to coerce employees to do personal favors. Again, I cannot share the stories, but their extreme manipulation and power flexing from a leader for purely selfish reasons, really inappropriate stuff for anybody who's supposed to be serving the way that Christ served. He frequently uses the phrase "God said" in contradictory ways to manipulate situations and persuade people to yield to his demands. This is
the Lord told
God
me
to use his name.
Yeah, we've heard that one before.
God told me that Donald Trump was the... I forgot what I was going to say.
He's going to get shot in the ear.
I was thinking about my boyfriend.
That's
an
not
earshot.
charitable, sir. All right. So we can get through this.
In order to manipulate others. This is blasphemy against the name of the Lord, to use his name to tell people to do things that you just want them to do to persuade people to yield to your demands. And the fact that you contradict yourself is evidence that it was never God in the first place. Todd lied weekly about his whereabouts, often claiming to be with donors when he was not, leaving others uncertain of his true location. Cannot share more stories on that. He suggested that bringing a revival from Asbury Seminary to Lifestyle could resolve the ministry's financial issues, implying that revival could be made to serve as a financial gain for the ministry, and attempting to orchestrate a revival, even asking the team to have...
Okay, so let me give a little context for this. The Asbury Revival was this revival that happened at a college. It lasted for several weeks. Kids were moved by the Holy Spirit. They were singing, they were praising, they were worshiping. It's kind of an organic thing. Colleges didn't make them do it. So it was like, yeah, a pretty big deal at the time. I think it happened about a year or two ago. What they're saying is that he was like, oh, well, this college is having this revival. We should manufacture that. So I don't know if that context clears anything up. But yeah, that's a reference to this college revival that happened a couple of years ago.
Hey, we should try that thing that, what's his name, Oral Roberts did. And have a revival. Make a bunch of money.
Start a story and not finish it by telling you where you went in the car. Anyway.
A car revival.
I took my hand and I touched his foot, and his foot got better.
Let's take him to the chiropractor.
We don't need to revisit that. That story made no blasted sense.
We can pull it up again.
Oh, no. We got to keep going.
For round-the-clock worship. I'd like to highlight here, for those who think that Todd White is a bad egg and everybody in his ministry are bad eggs too, what you're seeing here is people who actually care about the real work of the Spirit, care about real revival, care about purity in ministry, care about integrity in handling funds, motives that are correct, and they're serving underneath and alongside Todd White because there are a lot of really sincere, wonderful, God-loving Christians that are in the midst of organizations that otherwise have abusers, manipulators, deceivers at their head. And I say a lot because I know of a number. I'll be making videos about this in the coming months, later this year. I'll be making more videos to talk about some of these things because the exposures need to happen to unleaven the body of Christ so that the sincere people who love Jesus can continue doing those ministries without the shackles of manipulation, deceit, fakery, and spiritual fraud. Todd would cancel previously committed speaking engagements at the last minute to attend events that offered higher honorariums. He often gossips about other ministries, particularly those experiencing success or those who have called out his behavior, showcasing a propensity for spreading rumors and causing division. Todd even would tell the deepest secrets about his friends in the ministry, including their personal marital problems and other inappropriate details. Now, Todd in other videos has said, and in public, I've lived without offense my entire Christian life. For years, at this point, decades, he's lived without ever feeling offense from anybody. And this is clearly not the case. There's a vindictive attitude that's being represented here. And the deceit that's there is harmful to the name of Christ and harmful to the purposes of the kingdom. Todd has often gotten upset when visiting other churches when he is not given special treatment, a special seat, extra security and attention. I could tell you specific things. I could tell you what church he was at, what he said to the leader, why he was upset. But I need to keep a degree of anonymity for people who were brave enough to come forward and share this with you, even though they don't really gain much by doing it. For the most part, it's just personal angst that they're going to experience as a result of coming forward. And that's how it is for most whistleblowers. Most of them don't get much out of it. Todd refused to fly anything but first class. Todd declared to have been delivered from his sleep apnea 4 years ago, but was not. And this may seem like a trivial thing to people, but you have to understand, the cornerstone of his ministry is healing. And it's important to him to go out and see real healings, because that's the currency of the credibility of his ministry. And to have his own issues, his own medical issues, like sleep apnea, to be able to say, God delivered me from this, praise the Lord, is a really wonderful thing that helps keep him moving forward. But to lie about it, this is what Jesus got on the Pharisees about. You're whitewashing tombs now. You're doing things to appear something in front of men. Your works are being done for the appearances of men. That this is a really big problem that Jesus came against himself. So it is worth talking about. If you've seen Todd, you know that he's very muscular, and this one has to do with his bodybuilding. He shared before and after photos with many people 6 years ago when he put on significant muscle, claiming that God taught him how to become healthy and fit. Yet, it was later revealed that he had undergone liposuction and hormone replacement to achieve his fit goals. It's like every fitness influencer out there.
What a gay.
The fakery, it's...
Hey, if I could afford it, no, I'm good.
You'd be gay too?
Shush. I meant the liposuction.
It's all fraudulent. It's all fake. It's all a show. Todd has also exhibited behavior that seems inconsistent with his teachings of boldness and fearlessness. Although he preaches against caffeine, he frequently consumes high caffeinated energy drinks, and when questioned, pretends he wasn't aware of the caffeine content. Todd continues to consume these caffeinated drinks after being confronted about them. Additionally, he often publicizes the days of his fast in which he omits drinking shakes, which can project a sense of superhuman endurance to those who follow his teachings. Todd maintains a cultish aura that is unattainable.
So he stops drinking his protein shakes and calls that a fast? Is that what I'm hearing?
I don't know. I didn't really understand
strange.
that.
So let's see here. Todd continued to consume these caffeinated drinks after being confronted about them. Additionally, he often publicizes the day of his fast in which he omits drinking shakes, which can project a sense of superhuman endurance to those who follow his teachings. So he's creating an impression that I guess that it's a full fast, but he's just getting rid of his protein shakes.
Yeah, it's a fake fast.
Yeah, well, it's that fat. It's that game. It's that word game, you know, where it's like we're fast, but it really means I'm giving up Cheetos or like one thing, you know. It's not
like one time somebody told my wife that they had fly babies in their house.
Fly babies. I don't know what that is.
Gnats. Right.
Gnats.
No, not gnats.
I don't know what it is. So I mean,
maggots.
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 Ah,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Word magic.
Word magic. Ah, fly babies. Why would you even bother though?
That, right?
Nobody wants to admit they have maggots in their house.
Yeah. So they just call them fly babies.
There you go. There you go. All right. Wait,
why are
aren't
they
you
called
not supposed
flies?
to brag about your fast anyway? Like, isn't that like a commandment? Why would you publicize the days of your fast?
Yeah, you're not supposed to.
Yeah, you're not supposed to even talk about that. It's supposed to be kept quiet.
I think it's good to not talk about anything that you're doing. But...
Yeah, well, right? I mean, I think fasting is called out specifically. It's like, when you fast and pray, don't do it like the Pharisees, making a big show of it, but keep it quiet.
Yeah, you're right.
You know, so like that's an issue there by itself.
I fasted for 14 days and didn't eat anything.
I was just on a diet, but anyway.
Sound like what's his name? Jordan Peterson. Oh, Joe, one time I didn't sleep for 20 days. 20 days. It's like I can't even do it.
You'll work on it. You'll work on it.
I never could do a good Jordan impression.
Oh, yeah. I've kind of had to because Demi likes to play Jordan Peterson because she's seen the Freedom Tunes Jordan Peter Thanksgiving thing. Let's see. It's like, I'm not even going to do it. I can't remember. I'm trying to remember the quotes. It's like, what is that line? Dadgummit on Freedom Tunes. It's
I don't even
the
know what it
last
is.
time I ate asparagus, I got sent to the underworld to rescue my father, or something like that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, man.
Well, excuse me for needing to be rescued, bucko. But anyway,
Bucko.
Freedom Tunes is great.
That he teaches, leading countless to crash and burn. The attempt that people make to do a fast like Todd would do and then act like his body is unaffected by it. He doesn't have any physical harm that would come to him as he fasts for extreme periods of time. Like 40-day fast is not standard Christian behavior, okay? It's not. But to pretend it is and that God will actually help you build even more muscle while you're doing it and get even bigger and stronger is going to cause others physical harm. There's going to be people who go to the hospital because they're going to try to follow in your footsteps. And if what
doesn't that kind of create the impression that you're fasting to get abs? Just throwing that out there.
I don't know.
Anyway, I don't
It might help you get abs faster.
Oh yes, well, unless your body eats them, because you're dying. But anyway,
I think Mike's right here. I mean, it's like if you're pushing working out and all that, and also pushing fasting, and you're lying about when you're fasting, like that, you could hurt people.
Yeah, you're right.
No doubt. Like, I mean, like I love to fast, but I don't do it often because I don't have much weight to lose, man. Like
I could stand to fast a little bit, but anyway.
Yeah.
No, I got you. Yeah, it's those kind of that there seems to be a theme of unrealistic expectations. You know, he's kind of propping himself up out of ego, but it's hurting other people because they consider him a paragon.
Yeah. And he's lying about being on TRT. That's crazy.
Did he say that? Like hormones, like being on roids?
Yeah.
Like growth hormones?
Yeah.
Huh. That seems to be another common thread, though, but just with, bodybuilders in general. But anyway.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
Yeah.
It wasn't even real. If it didn't even happen for you, then what you've done is you've perpetrated a fraud that's actually harmful to people. I have a video clip where Todd actually does talk about this, the fasting thing. So let's look at how he presents it.
Going to get checked after a 40-day fast.
And you can look at Todd right now and you can see this isn't how somebody looks after a 40-day fast.
No.
No. No, it is not.
You ever seen Alone? The show Alone?
Yeah, I've seen Alone, yeah.
Where they don't eat for like 40 days.
Oh yeah, you can tell.
Okay.
You can tell. That's
They start looking like me.
Yeah, he looks a little red-faced to have just been fasted. I'm just saying.
Right.
Good night.
Yeah.
Wow.
It would be a supernatural thing. Like, it would be a supernatural thing. If you fasted 40 days and you look like this, I don't think Jesus looked this way after his 40-day fast. He looks fine. He looks full and fit. Your body starts cannibalizing for 40 days of fasting.
I wouldn't say he looks fine. He looks like his heart's about to explode in his chest because of the TRT. But anyway.
Those, especially if you work out a lot, which he continues to work out, I think, during his fasting, then he's got to be burning, minimum 2,500 calories, 3,000 calories a day. Yeah. This means that his body's going to be eating 3,000 calories of fat and muscle every day. You're going to shrink in muscle. Your cheeks are going to start to cave in. Your eyes are going to look sunken, and you're just going to be exhausted. This is going to happen. He looks fine. And he goes to the doctor here, and the doctor tells him he's better than fine.
To get my body checked, my blood.
He just did the exam. I'd like for him to tell you.
Todd went to 2 machines to evaluate his body, check all the body composition.
Now, I've cut out the parts where the doctor's talking because the doctor speaks in a different language, and then this is an interpreter. Why is he? I don't know. He's somewhere. I don't know. The doctor speaks a different language, and this is what they say about his body composition and how incredibly healthy he is.
And the result was that his biological age is of a man of 35 to 40 years old, but his chronological age is 54 years old. Amen.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen. Make sure you fast and pray and exercise.
So you're supposed to copy what he does. You're supposed to fast and pray and exercise, and you're going to be fit. You're going to decrease in your biological age.
Crazy.
That's the implication. Okay.
That is pretty bad. That can get people killed. You're right. That is kind of a big deal.
Certainly wake people up. They like wake up and they're like 20 pounds lighter than they were, and they're like, "Oh God, I'm
Yeah, it's like, what
somebody's
happened to all my
been lying
muscle?
to me." Yeah.
Not to mention extremely sore.
Yeah, you're gonna be sore. You're gonna be achy. It's gonna be a miserable time for you. And then you're supposed to think that you're not spiritual enough because you're not being healed.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. So then you got
feel
that
like crap
air of guilt on you.
Yeah, yeah. I must work harder. Line from Animal Farm from the horse. So, man.
Thing, what it does is two things. It allows Todd to rise up above everybody else, all the legitimate leaders in the body, all the godly people, spirit-filled people. He rises above them because none of them can compete with these things that he's doing, these miracles, this incredible stuff he's got going on. But it's because the stuff he's doing isn't real. And this is the thing that we need to learn as we get this letter, as we get this information out, and I hope that you'll share it. And if Todd is drinking shakes, probably protein shakes, workout shakes, calorie shakes, this is basically having meals while pretending that he's fasting. Very deceptive and very misleading and very hurtful to the people who will then follow in his footsteps, which is why this needs to be shared
so
publicly.
For clarity, I'm an
The Bible
idiot and I
says
read
that,
that backwards. He's removing all the food except the protein shakes. That's what's going on. But the protein shakes are basically meal replacements.
Yeah.
So okay. Well, I'm stupid, but anyway.
And I bet the church is buying, protein that's $174 a bag.
Yeah, it's probably very nice protein shakes. Yeah.
Yeah.
The leader, the elder, who's sinning, rebuking the presence of all that the rest also may fear. Let this be a clarion call to the spiritual fakers that are out there, to the leaders that are faking it. Your miracles are exaggerated. Your stories are untrue. The presentation of yourself is fake, and the people behind the scenes know. The clock is ticking on you, and there's a good chance that you're also going to be exposed, either by me or by somebody else. It's not my ministry. This isn't my focus, but I will do it for a season here.
Truth
because some stuff has come to light that I'll be.
I do appreciate that he's doing that because somebody does need to start calling some of these guys out.
Yeah. Well, people get canceled when they start calling people out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Why do you think Owen Benjamin isn't allowed on YouTube?
Is he still not allowed on YouTube? I guess
No.
not. No. Anyway, yeah, no, I'm glad he's doing this. I hope we get some more details on this, though. I still feel like some of this is vague, but yeah, some of this is kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
Some of it may even be illegal, apparently.
Yeah.
Well, he did say
I wouldn't
earlier
be
that he was
surprised.
going to do more videos on it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if he's in jail within a couple of weeks. IRS doesn't like that shit.
I mean, it could be. Could be. I don't know.
This video was only 9 days ago.
Yeah. It's not very old.
That makes me want to do it, at least for a while. And hopefully I can get back to other things I care about a lot more. There have been instances where Todd White gave extravagant gifts to people on camera only to reimburse himself with ministry funds. He argued that the ministry should cover these costs, which gives the impression of false generosity. I'm speechless. Imagine giving people money on camera and then getting paid back by your ministry in ways that are ultimately deceitful. Wow. One thing we recognize is that these words on this paper do not...
Wait, he skipped over the NDA thing. That was the last thing I was going to... Why'd you skip over that? All right, can I just make a statement? Okay, so Lifestyle Christianity under Todd's leadership regularly required staff members to sign an NDA as a condition for receiving their severance. That's why they're not talking.
Wow.
That's why they're not talking.
What's an NDA?
A non-disclosure agreement. So if you start talking office gossip, because this is what these... Can I just say, I hate NDAs. I think they should be made illegal. Like, half the... two guys in particular, three. A lot of the conservative guys do this crap where they'll make people sign NDAs and act like sleazy butts behind the scenes. But you can't talk about any of it because you signed an NDA. Now, and the NDA doesn't just cover doxing like addresses. They'll try to say, oh, it's just about, doxing. Like, we don't want people knowing where our guys live and all this. It's not about that. It's about the office gossip. It's about, the dirty laundry, making sure that people can't talk about the dirty laundry. So the fact that they wrote this, I can't believe he skipped that. Why? That's a little sleazy in of itself. This is why they're being quiet, because he can sue them. He can sue the ever-loving crap out of them and break them financially because they all signed NDAs. That's what's going on.
Yep.
I hate NDAs, dude. Oh, I hate them.
So would he be able to go after Mike Winger here?
No, because Mike Winger doesn't work for the
didn't sign
company.
an NDA.
Right, but his employees did. And his employees are the whistleblowers. But see, they're not legally allowed to whistleblow because of that paper.
Yep.
Will you sign an NDA for me?
Absolutely not. Like, you
I would sign one for you.
don't ever sign an NDA. Those things, like, ever, like, those are poison.
So, like, here's a bunch of money if you sign this thing.
Yeah, they offer you a bunch of money up front, knowing that people are like, well, I trust this guy. And so they take the money and sign the NDA, and then sure enough, the guy turns out to be a butt and mistreats him. Yep. I mean, you can cover anything from sexual harassment to just, you know, like a boss could, this is a permission slip for the boss to do pretty much whatever they want.
Yeah.
Like, that's what they are. And people don't frame it like that, but that's what they are in practice. Not legally, but in practice, that's what those things are. Because always remember, the process is the punishment. So it doesn't matter that if, like, say, for example, somebody sexually assaulted a coworker, the boss sexually assaulted a coworker. It doesn't matter that there's no way in the world that, you know, you could make that, like, fly in a court. All you have to do is countersue that person because they signed an NDA. And 9 times out of 10, the employee is so poor they can't handle the court charges.
Right.
You know, so the process is the punishment. That's why these things are just... I honestly can't believe it's legal to even have these kinds of documents at a corporation. Yeah. Like, I can't believe that they even allow this crap. But that's what it is. It's that I cannot. He should not have skipped that NDA thing. That's why they're keeping quiet. That's like a big detail. So anyway,
that's interesting they skipped that.
Yeah, it is.
Impression of false generosity. I'm speechless. Imagine giving people money on camera and then getting paid back by your ministry in ways that are ultimately deceitful. Wow. One thing we recognize is that these words on this paper do not come close to doing justice to the level of confusion, spiritual bewilderment, gaslighting, and manipulation that Todd is able to orchestrate on a daily basis. This note in the Spirit-filled Study Bible regarding Simon the Sorcerer sums up Todd's practice of manipulation and desire to control others.
Okay, we're done. We're not going to learn anymore because of that NDA. Yeah. It's going to have to stay that vague, but people can't come out in public. Not as long as that paper's on the table. So this is like the most we're getting.
Well, it says if they want to receive their severance. So if one wanted to turn their severance down, I think that's the only stipulation in this case.
Is that what it says?
Yeah.
Let me look. Yeah, here we go. Okay, so they couldn't get their severance. So it's even worse than that. They didn't bribe the person to sign the NDA, which is what typically happens. They said you don't get your severance package unless you sign an NDA.
Yeah.
So it was twisting their
arm. Which is fair. I mean, I've never even gotten a severance package. So.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't even know what a severance... Well, I mean, I know what a severance package is, but you're right, I've never gotten one. I wouldn't expect to get one. But still, I don't even know if that counts, because some businesses... Severances in some circles, severances are normal, aren't they?
When you get into like I don't know, like manufacturing jobs, if you're paid, what do you call that? When you're paid monthly, not by the hour.
Oh, like salary?
Yeah, salary.
Yeah.
So I think it's more common in salary jobs. But I don't know.
The point still remains. Well, yeah, the point still remains, like, these NDAs shouldn't even be legal. Like, these shouldn't even be part of the legal process. Like, there is no protect people. Like, an NDA was originally, I think, if I remember correctly, basically designed to protect intellectual property, like private information, that kind of thing. So, and maybe like business MOPs, so how you market.
In the CIA.
I'll be right back.
Everything's the CIA. All of it, all the time.
I'll be right back.
All right, see you, man.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I think that's what it was. It was like intellectual property, so Colonel Sanders' chicken recipe, addresses and business NOPs, like your marketing strategy.
Yeah.
Or contact information, like say you know certain marketers that you don't want going to other people. You know, you'd make it illegal for the employee to give a competitor a list of contacts, you know, something like that. And that's all fine, but that's not how they're used, practically speaking. It's to prevent people from talking about this kind of office gossip. And that should not be legal under any circumstances. That just should not be legal. And
yeah.
You're not going to get a resolution to this in that case because they legally can't provide more information. Not without outing themselves, in which case they'll get sued.
Yeah.
You know? That's infuriating. Yep. Why do you think he skipped that? Why do you think Mike skipped that?
I don't know. That's interesting.
That is bizarre to me. I don't know why you would skip that. Huh.
I think he's got his fingers deeper in there than he's letting on.
Yeah, there's got to be more going on. Because, I mean, they obviously wanted people to know that they had the NDA. So I don't know what the point would be in skipping that.
Right.
That's really weird.
It's strange.
Huh. Anyway, well.
You ready to talk about hell before I fall asleep in here?
Yeah, hang in there, man. Hang in there, man. Yeah, I kind of wanted to wait for Trevor to get back. I got to go to the bathroom too, though, weirdly. Not weirdly, but, you know. Anyway, so I guess we'll sign this one out and then we'll wait for him to get back. So, guys, this is the end of part 2. Stay on the air for part 3 if you're on the live stream. If you're watching this after the fact, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Faith, Fiction, and Folklore. If you did, we would love it if you would subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Rumble. We can also be found on X, Instagram, and Facebook. And we are available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. Thank you again very much for listening, and we'll see you next time.